So I hand over to Boris and we are going live.
Wir sind live.
We are live.
We are live. So, good morning from my side as well to the second keynote, I assume. We had yesterday's keynote as well. Perfect. So today it's about the ABAP strategy towards ABAP Cloud development accelerated by ABAP AI. My name is Boris Gebhardt, and fortunately I will be joined by Fabian Fellhauer, our big ABAP Cloud expert. You will see that in a second. I want to raise the bar a little bit for you. And the main topic, you will see that in a second, will be really to show you, and that already leads to the agenda, what is the general ABAP strategy we have, what kind of impact do we have about ABAP in the SAP ecosystem. And after this overview, we will directly go over to ABAP Cloud. That will be the main topic because that's how you as an ABAP developer will work in the future. Concerning ABAP development. That's how you develop modern ABAP application. That's why it's so important to do all the upskilling of all the ABAP developers, which we have worldwide, to this new development model. And it's not a small change, it's really a big change. More or less everything changes. The tooling, the programming model, everything more or less. And then most likely the ABAP AI part will be the most interesting topic for you because it's so new and everybody talks about AI. And here the main theme will be you as an ABAP developer, how can you use and benefit from AI to be more effective, to integrate AI in your own ABAP applications for your end users. And additionally, concerning code transformation, we all know we are in the middle of a big transformation from ECC, from the classic ERP systems to S/4HANA. A lot of effort is in there concerning custom code transformation as an example. And of course, there's a big hope that AI may help to automate parts of that at least. Okay, so these are the main topics which we will handle. So let's directly jump into the first part, ABAP impact and strategy. And as a warm-up, I use the last survey which has been taken in the SAP ecosystem. You perhaps know that that's done annually. So the ecosystem of SAP, the developer community, is asked regularly what kind of programming language are you using day by day, which kind of tools and all that stuff. And the result is, to be honest, as each and every year, we see the ABAP is leading here. So the SAP ecosystem is dominated by ABAP developers, let's say it like that. So guys like you. That's the first thing. And that more or less relies directly to the numbers which we normally see. So it's a little bit hard to calculate, but our estimation is that we have roughly 2 million ABAP developers worldwide who are actively working in customer systems as a partner or whatsoever in all these hundreds of thousands of SAP systems worldwide. And that leads to the second angle, more or less, of ABAP, and that's the ABAP platform, the foundation of all the ERP systems worldwide. And the ABAP is more or less the rock-solid foundation of all these ABAP systems. And that's why now I want to show you our main stakeholders and how we deliver our new ABAP features, like a new CDS feature, a new debugger feature, whatsoever, to all these stakeholders. So on the left, the gray part, you see the classic ERP based on NetWeaver, application server ABAP, including CRM, SRM, or NetWeaver-based applications like BW, PI, or whatsoever. That's based, of course, on ABAP, on NetWeaver. First of all, it's clear. Here we focus on patches, on support, on maintenance. That's not something where we do new features. Here the main focus is to transform the customers who are sitting on these products to the new world and before the maintenance ends. Okay, that's the main focus here. The innovation happens in the blue area, which you see here. That's especially S/4HANA, the next generation business suite of SAP. And here you have, first of all, the different editions. You have on-prem, you have private cloud, and you have public cloud. And below all these different S/4HANA editions, it's always the ABAP platform as a foundation, okay? And last but not least, our own product, very successful, SAP BTP ABAP environment, nicknamed Steampunk. That's our platform as a service offering so that customers or partners or SAP itself can build ABAP cloud-based extensions or solutions on BTP. So their own cloud solution, let's say it like that. It's our own product. Our means our department is really operating Steampunk. We do the upgrades quarterly. So we are responsible for that service for Steampunk. It's not your task to upgrade the ABAP platform. That's on us. We do this quarterly. And we do all the technical operation stuff. So you are only responsible for your own extension for your application. The platform is handled by us, by SAP. Okay? And then, now the question is, how do we serve all these different stakeholders? SAP internally, we use one development code line to build new features in ABAP. A new ABAP language feature, a new CDS feature, a new debugger features or whatsoever. That's done once. And then that reaches the different stakeholders. Exactly. So I remember what I said, that's good. Good. If you have Steampunk, then that's the product where the features can be used first. Because here we do the upgrades, and that's done quarterly. So the first you will always see in Steampunk the new features, be it an AI feature, be it something which we added to CDS or table entities or whatsoever. Here, that's done quarterly, meaning February, May, August, November. Okay, these are the typical dates, and then you have a new version in automatically. Your extension goes on working, and then you can use the new features. If you do this, if you do user developer extensibility on S/4HANA Public Cloud, so building ABAP Cloud extensions on top of S/4HANA Public Cloud, then you have twice a year a new release of S/4HANA Cloud, and with that, a new ABAP platform version underneath. That means twice a year you see new features in S/4HANA Public Cloud, which you can use in your ABAP Cloud extension on top of S/4HANA Public Cloud. And then we have private cloud and on-prem. Here you have each and every 2 years now a new release. Last one was 2023. Now this year a new one comes out, 2025, and then 2027. And then all the supported features are delivered to those on-prem and private cloud releases. If we now concentrate a little bit more on our Steampunk, because there are two flavors in it. So first of all, innovations. When I attended TechEd, then many customers explained to me really nice features, which you explained, all the new stuff. But when I'm back at my desk, I'm working in an ECC system, which is 15 years old. I can't use anything of that. That's different if you use Steampunk. That's always up to date. So here you can build side-by-side extensions on the newest technology stack, including ABAP and HANA. Okay, that's really an opportunity. And if you think about the free tier offering we have for education or getting your hands on the new features, you can use it for that as well. Plus, as explained, for productive extensions. Okay, next to your, let's say, old ERP system. Second, we internally at SAP use Steampunk as well as our front runner for cloudification and for new features and for innovations. You see here in the middle our Steampunk stack, and we started 2018 with Steampunk. That was more or less the release date, the first release date. And from day one, we operated it. We did the upgrades. Therefore, it was a must that all the extensions sitting on top must be clearly separated from the SAP code because we do the automated updates. So only SAP APIs must be used, only extension points, and so on. So that was more or less the birth of ABAP Cloud, the cloud-ready ABAP development model. Not because we want to somehow invent something new, it was just a given, seeing that we do automate updates on Steampunk, okay? And ABAP Cloud development model means, first of all, upgrade stable, as explained. Additionally, we restricted the ABAP language so that you can only use ABAP statements which do not conflict with our own SAP operation. So no longer you can use open dataset to access the file system. There's not the possibility to directly access the operating system because that's our task to do the operation stuff for Steampunk. So we restricted the ABAP language to the stuff which makes sense in the cloud environment, okay? And last but not least, we restricted the available frameworks and UI technologies. We have just quite some history in ABAP, 40 years to be precise, and we collected a lot of frameworks and UI variants. And here in ABAP Cloud, we restricted it to the most modern and S4 relevant variants. So no longer SAP GUI, no longer BSP, no longer WebDynPro from an UI perspective, but we focus on web-based Fiori applications. Okay? Because we have to cloud enable all that, we have to secure all that, we have to support all that, and that's why we want to streamline the ABAP Cloud development model to the cloud-ready, most modern technologies in the ABAP stack. And as explained here, that's exactly what is used in our SAP internal development in S4 as well. So they use web to build new Fiori apps. That's the mainstream, let's say it like that, internally, and hopefully soon externally as well. Additionally, what we do in Steampunk is that we use, let's say, state-of-the-art cloud technologies underneath our ABAP systems. So we build on Kubernetes to scale and to operate our application servers. And that makes it possible that we are able to operate all these, and we have really many of those Steampunk systems with a really small operation team because everything's automated, standardized, and so on. But that reflects directly to ABAP Cloud because since ABAP application servers go up, go down, just because we scale, your application must be able to cope with that. You must be aware that the application server may vanish, go away, and comes again if the load increases. Okay? So you must be resilient, you must be able to restart more or less, or to go on with your application. So these are new capabilities which you need in a cloud environment, which is part of the ABAP Cloud development model. And all that has been matured since 2018. And after the maturing with all the partner and extensions using ABAP Cloud, 2022, we found out now we are mature enough and we provide the same in S/4HANA. So that was more or less the birth, that ABAP Cloud is available in S/4HANA as well. And that now leads exactly to all the details about ABAP Cloud, and you will see me again when the AI part comes up.
All right, so thanks for the handover, Boris. So talking about ABAP Cloud, the question is always how can you benefit from ABAP Cloud and what's behind it actually. So Boris already gave us a great introduction, right, what the motivation behind of ABAP Cloud is. So also looking now to you, so who of you has already built some productive applications with ABAP Cloud? Who has done that? Okay, there are plenty. Good, about half of the people within that room. So talking about ABAP Cloud is exactly what also Boris just mentioned, right? So when we are talking about cloud technologies with our ABAP Cloud development model, including also the RESTful application programming model, we provide cloud-ready, cloud-native capabilities. No, capabilities, also referring to the keynote yesterday, great, out of the box, right? So you have possibilities to build your application in a cloud-ready way, so it can also be operated in cloud environments, talking about Steampunk, so the SAP BTP ABAP environment, but also, of course, the S/4HANA Public Cloud Edition. Also, Boris mentioned the clear separation of custom coding, right, and SAP coding. So meaning that you only are allowed to consume publicly released APIs. And this is because, of course, we want to make sure that we are able to deliver the latest innovations day by day or month by month to you as developers. So meaning that we need to be in a state where we can do system updates whenever we want to, right? And this we can only ensure if you, as application developers, you do not have any efforts to adopt a new version, a new cloud delivery version of our Steampunk operating model. And with that, we also need to force you, unfortunately, also to stick to those publicly released APIs, which of course, again, are kept stable by SAP. The great thing is the same ecosystem, those same functionalities are of course also available to you as application developers. So meaning if you are in the role of a partner development or maybe also as a large customer and you're building your own APIs for other departments or software components, you are also allowed to make use of exactly those concepts of ABAP Cloud to be able to release publicly released APIs for your customers or for your internal departments. So we are providing a cloud-ready development model, not only for you, but also for our internal developments and also for partners, customers, for everybody. So we have a unified development model where we deliver our innovations. And of course, also the term clean core is up to every mind, right? So by using the ABAP Cloud development model, we of course also ensure that you are clean core by default. So meaning if you build new applications within your S/4HANA stack, either on-premise or private cloud, by using ABAP Cloud, we make sure that also in those environments, you're only allowed to make use of those publicly released APIs. And with that, you're automatically also clean core compliant. So now what's actually in ABAP Cloud? So we have a huge ABAP Cloud map with a lot of technologies and stuff in there. So let me summarize what you see there. Actually, when we are talking about ABAP Cloud, we are splitting it in two major parts. On the left-hand side, and those are the boxes over there, we're talking about those technologies you need to build business applications. And when we're talking about building applications, we are focusing within ABAP Cloud primarily on three development scenarios. First of all, building transactional applications. Second, building analytical applications. And third, building integration services. So you're able also to consume other stacks, other applications, because we also know we are heading to a more distributed system landscape in future. And there we have technologies in place to define your data model, like CDS. So for core data services, you're able to define your data model of your business application. You can add some behavior to it to, for example, also make fields mandatory in the UI to expose all those things to UI or data services, and then also, of course, to generate VOE applications out of it. Beside of those technical foundations which we are delivering, we also have a lot of qualities which we're bringing just out of the box with our ABAP Cloud development model. So I think some guy in the keynote yesterday also referred to it, right, and talked about it was just great to stay in the ABAP environment, and you do not need to care about dependency management and other components and stuff like that, because everything you need is out of the box already included within your ABAP Cloud development model. So we are talking about, of course, reuse service functionalities. We are talking about lifecycle management. So also transports are still a thing, right? But also make use of ABAP JIT. We are talking about business configuration, extensibility capabilities, so not only provided by SAP, but also for you available to make your applications which you are building also again extensible. So if you would like to provide a SaaS applications also for your customers in a cloud environment. And the latest thing which we just also added to that map are those generative AI functionalities, and we will also have a deep dive into that later on. And also in the afternoon, there will be a detailed demo session of our colleagues giving you also some overviews which features are in there in detail. So talking about ABAP Cloud, it's important to understand that ABAP Cloud is not only available in public cloud edition, so talking about S/4HANA public cloud or talking about SAP BTP ABAP environment, but ABAP Cloud can already be used today in on-premise and private cloud edition. So meaning independently in which environment you are, so S4 or private on-prem or public cloud, you can make use of the ABAP Cloud development model to already be now prepared for running your applications in a real public cloud environment. So you are able to develop your applications within the ABAP Cloud development model, even on-premise. So make use of that and also prepare your applications to be really also future-proof. What are now those different extensibility strategies which we have, right? This is something customers usually asking for, right? So what should I do if I now move from ECC to S/4HANA? I have now some old applications in there, some old extensions. What should I do now? So should I now rework everything and build everything again the same way? Of course not, right? So please have a look into your applications and check what are your core business processes where you really also require a continuously innovation code line. right? Where do you need to innovate and also to be competitive with other competitors out there in the market? And those business processes, they are worth really also to get to modernized. And when doing this modernization, you have exactly different possibilities to do so. So on the left-hand side, we see our on-stack capability. So if you are on an S4HANA system, you can, of course, make use of the ABAP Cloud development model also to build on-stack extensions, meaning you're in your system, you do not need to carve anything out to the SAP BTP, but you can stay on your system and build your extensions directly there, like you did in the ECC, but just with a new development model, which of course also considers those publicly released local APIs. And when talking about the on-stack extensibility options, you also always have the possibility to either make use of the Pro-code tools, so talking about ABAP development tools, really building in the development tools and writing on your data model with CDS, working with those coding artifacts. Or if you do not have that much experienced developers within your organization, you can also make use of low-code tools, talking about, for example, key user tools to generate with a Fiori UI, a business object, and also to add extension fields to standard business processes of SAP. This really simplifies also those extension strategies. Beside of that, of course, there might also be scenarios where you say, okay, I do not want to keep it any longer as an on-stack extension because I, for example, need to scale out my custom application different than my S4HANA system, right? So those scale out things are different, or you do not need to have those close integrations within your S4HANA system because you have built a completely separated product, right? And therefore, you can also make use of those side-by-side extension strategies. And again, there, we also have pro-code and low-code qualities in place. And when talking about pro-code development tools or stacks which you can use, you can, of course, make use of the SAP BTP ABAP environment where you can still implement within the programming language ABAP, so you can keep also that knowledge you have from ABAP there. Or you can also, of course, switch to other development models like the SAP Cloud Programming Model CAP. Right? Also, this is possible, of course, there. And those are the strategies which we have for building extensions also within the future development model at SAP. And all of that is also summarized by a term which we call sub-build. And with sub-build, you have the central entrance also to modernize and also to orchestrate your extensions, right? So you have a build lobby where you can dive in, you can have an overview about those projects which you have created, either in the CAP environment, the ABAP Cloud environment. You can have access to those low-code tools, talking about process automation, for example. All those things are bundled up in the sub-build lobby. And this is your central entry point in future also to have an overview and a tight integration between those different developments you do in your distributed system landscape. All right? And having said that and having that in mind, we are also often talking about a strategy, especially the strategy of the ABAP Cloud development model. And customers asking me, okay, we now have the ABAP Cloud development model in place. Where are we heading to? So what are the plans also, the further plans for ABAP Cloud? Can I rely on that, or should I now use CAP or something else? What is the recommendation of SAP on that? And what I would like to also give you a kind of overview is, so I could, of course, when I talk about strategy, I could talk about technologies and stuff like that for an hour. But when talking about strategy, it's often also about talking about uncertainties. And I would like to make you think of the last business challenges you have faced recently, right? So it might be that there was a sudden market shift in your business. Maybe you did an acquisition and needed to incorporate integrations or other IT departments into your business processes. And I would also make you to think about your developers, which are kind of that way, and also in the maintaining legacy implementations and also visiting the TechEd, right? And receiving all those new innovations, but they're coming back home and realizing, I still need to do those maintenance activities, and I'm as a developer not able really to do those to access those innovations. And the third thing I also would like to make you think of is also the feeling you have to think about, how can I, as somebody who is responsible for architecture within your development organization or also for development, how can we stay competitive in a way that we really also make sure that we have efficient business processes in place which supports our business? And also this was something Tobias referred yesterday to. We really need to make sure that you as customers are able to find a development model which really supports your business, because this is what we want to do as a developer. Why? We are not developing stuff because it's cool or fancy and we can make use of the latest technology. No, it's because we really want to support the business. And when talking about those uncertainties, we have 3 major investment areas which we are also heading to in the next years. And this is, of course, first of all, we as ABAP are reliable. So we are not only reliable right now, we were also reliable in the past years, right? So most of you already had some business processes running on ABAP for the past decades, and we're still continuing this journey, right? So the same developers are still active in our organization, now also implementing the ABAP Cloud development model. And when talking about reliable, we are also talking about cloud quality. So with the ABAP Cloud development model, we are really ensuring that we grant cloud-native qualities out of the box. So I'm talking about supportability, testability, extensibility, scalability, resilience. So I could go on for that most probably half an hour. Well, not half an hour, maybe 5 minutes or something like that. But anyway, so all those qualities are granted out of the box, and you do not need to care, or you should not care about those stuff, because this is just intrinsic included within the development model. And this is what we are aiming for, what we are really focusing on, right? To provide you a business development model to where you can really also focus on implementing business logic. Second, we ensure competitiveness, right? So also talking about embracing technology. So we did that in the past already also in ABAP. So when HANA was around, we made use of core data services to expose all those HANA capabilities which came out of the box also then for the ABAP server. We did it with Fiori, right? So granting all US ABAP developers possibilities and capabilities to expose your services to a Fiori front end. And now we are doing the same with generative AI. So also there, we are always making sure that we incorporate those latest technologies which are really business critical. And there we currently really toughly working on those generative AI functionalities. And last but not least, we also talked about yesterday about upskilling and stuff like that, right? So we also need to make sure that we accompany your journey towards the cloud. So a lot of developers within your organization are still working in, I would say, in the old programming model, doing classical ABAP development, reports and stuff like that. And we also need to make sure to really get those people also shifted into the new development model, into those new capabilities and qualities which need to be ensured for applications running in the cloud. And therefore, we also aim for providing you a low entry barrier to those functionalities, providing, of course, upskilling material, learning journeys, but also, of course, generators and a good tool chain to make it as simple as possible to get access to those ABAP Cloud qualities. And this is what we are aiming for. And now also talking about a concrete roadmap, I just would like to briefly mention some features which are currently there, which are also coming up. So first of all, talking about innovating your enterprise, we have a lot of features in place, namely also prominently the WebBO generator within 2505, which is now available to you, also to generate your web business objects with a wizard within ADT. So you do not need to create all those artifacts which are required for web business object by hand. You can just make use of that wizard, which is of course also AI assisted. We'll see that later on. We have also allowed you the possibility to bundle up different business processes within one static draft scope to make sure you have one transactional execution across those business processes. And what is also coming soon are those analytical functionalities within your business object. So to make sure that you not only can display and operate your transactional data, but that you're also able to make to get insights out of that quickly within your transactional processes. So having also aggregation and grouping capabilities in place. This is something which also will come up soon. Next, I would also like to mention what we are doing for boosting your development efficiency or your business user efficiency. So also, which is very prominently shown today, also for my colleagues, are those tool developer capabilities for web, which really assist you also in the AI development. And this was already delivered with 25.02, and also with 25.05, we also included some further features in there. Next, also with 25.08, collaborative draft is coming up, so meaning that different business users of your environments can work on the same data instance. This was not possible in the DynPro so far, right? So with Fiori, this is of course possible that multiple business users can work on the same instance, so data record at the same time. And what is also coming up are AI integrations for your business user processes. And there I would like also to give you a short demo on that. To make sure that you also see what recommendations are about. So when we are talking about recommendations or about AI integrations, we often have a very tight focus also on making sure that our developers are working efficient. But at the end, we want to support our business. So we also need to make sure that our business runs efficient. And so maybe who of you knows the ICD codes? So kind of ICD codes which are required also for classifying any diseases in the medical sector or something like that. Is there somebody out of the medical sector? No? Okay, one hand over there. So I need to be careful what I'm now telling you. Right? Okay, so let's assume we are running a kind of emergency room with a Fiori app. I know nobody would run an emergency room with a Fiori app. But anyway, so let's go for it, all right? So we are maintaining kind of quick birth date here, right? A gender, I don't care about it. I also take a name. Hopefully there is no Schmidt-Michael within that room. Otherwise, we would now maybe also have some diseases for him. So let's assume that somebody defines a symptom for this patient, right? And say, okay, I have some pain in the chest and high blood pressure. And now what somebody would need to do also for an emergency room thing is to classify that, right? So to assign a criticality to it, right? Like we are doing here. Criticality, is it emergency, not urgent or something like that? Maybe also a man flu. So man is maybe dying, but we're taking it as an emergency and also the diagnosis. We need to search all those ICD codes to find the heart stroke, right? So, or the heart attack. So when I'm searching for heart, I'm not finding that. So I'm going into the Fiori UI, I'm switching to contains, search something for heart over there. And I will now click on the go button, see the heart attack. And there we are. We can create a data record and we are good. It takes some time. And what I would like now to show you is how would this process look like if we also incorporate some AI within our business object. So meaning that we really also enable a feature which we call recommendations within web. So I just comment that out, say, okay, we would like to make use of recommendations. I'm activating that, switching back to my Fiori UI, I'm refreshing the UI, and also doing now the same process again. So I have somebody coming into my emergency room. I say, I would like to create a birthday, a patient, male, again, our Schmidt-Michael. And we are also defining a symptom, something like pain in the chest and high blood pressure. And what is now coming up is we get some recommendations automatically filled out by the system, right? Which knows based on the business data which was maintained or dependent on the implementation you're doing, you get some recommendations there. And you do not need to fill out that again. You can just say, okay, I would like to create, you get again a notification what was just added, right, within your business process. And you can say, okay, yeah, it's an emergency, it could be a heart attack, let's go for it and care about that patient, right? And in the end, what we are doing in the implementation is we are providing you functionalities or the infrastructure also to implement those capabilities. And talking also about AI integrations, we also, for example, within that implementation, we are also providing you the possibility to make, for example, use of our ABAP AI SDK, right, which you see here. So what we did some prompt engineering in the backend, right, to make use of those AI SDKs to make also to also grant those close integration within your business process. Because we also know sometimes AI is not always right, so we need also to incorporate those processes and those limitations which we have into our programming model, and also giving the business user the chance, on the one hand, to reiterate about those across those things, and also to make sure that those things can be fine-tuned. And having said that, I would like to hand over to Boris, also for the AI part.
Clicker.
Where did I put it? Oh, over there. You can, yeah.
Good. Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, a lot of slides.
There we go.
Here we go. So after seeing already a preview for AI, now let's dive a little bit deeper into the AI chapter and try to understand what kind of strategy we have concerning integrating AI into ABAP. So we have three main areas where we want to provide AI. The first one is about accelerate, and that really means accelerating you, the developers. You all know that, as an example, Copilot, other programming languages are already supported nicely with AI in the IDE to provide code proposals, allow to explain code, generate unit tests, all that stuff. And we, of course, want to ensure that the ABAP developer community gets the same level of support concerning AI to make you productive. So that's the first big pillar we are working on. In ABAP, that's a little bit more challenging. Why? Because there's not really much ABAP code out there which can be used by any kind of AI. Okay, there's not much public code available, as you notice from other programming languages. The most of the ABAP code is residing in SAP systems, proprietary, can't be accessed by ChatGPT or whatsoever. Okay, and that's why, first of all, what we did is to train or to optimize models for ABAP using our own SAP code, okay? So that we have an ABAP-based, an ABAP-optimized large language model which we can use for these tasks, okay? That was the main step which we first had to do. Second topic is empower, and that has already been seen in the demo which you have seen. You build your own custom ABAP applications and you want to use AI in your application for your end users, okay? And we provide an SDK and embed this technology into ABAP so that you can benefit from AI and bring AI functionality to your end users in an ABAP way, meaning, of course, it's integrated in the IDE, of course, lifecycle management is no issue, of course, there's troubleshooting available and all that stuff, so in an enterprise-ready way. As we did it for HANA, with CDS, with AMDP, now AI is the next topic, okay? And last but not least, and that's the most urgent topic at the moment, we all know that we are in a big transformation from the classical ERP now to S4 and Clean Core and all that, and a lot of custom code must be adapted. Of course, we have a long history here with quick fixes, ABAP Test Cockpit and all that stuff, but there are still areas where you have to do this manually, and that's tedious, that's a lot of effort. And AI comes now into that and shall help to reduce the effort even more concerning the migrations we see. And since we have the end of maintenance in front of us, it's urgent that we provide this functionality soon. Okay, so that's why that's urgent. Perhaps an additional thing which is not on the slide, from a timing perspective, AI comes perfect, I must say, for ABAP. Because now we are in a big transformation from classic ABAP to ABAP Cloud. All those 2 million ABAP developers somehow have to learn ABAP Cloud. And with AI, and you will see that in a second, when the demo will be done, is now able to provide you more or less an expert in ABAP Cloud via the chat and all the functionality which is sitting next to you. And AI is never tired. You can ask even stupid questions and so on. So always an ABAP expert, an ABAP Cloud expert is sitting next to you, and you can ask him, okay, I want to hide a field, which kind of your functionality, what functionality do I have in web, which kind of annotation do I have to use, and so on and so on. So you have always an ABAP Cloud expert sitting next to you, which you can ask, okay? That's really important. Good, let's first jump into the use case Accelerate. Here you see what is already available in 2502 in Steampunk and in S/4HANA Public Cloud. You see the functionality which is available for you integrated in ADT into the Eclipse. So we have, first of all, the chat functionality as explained. You can more or less, as you notice, perhaps from ChatGPT or others, just discuss and do some discussion with the bot. Additionally, you have predictive code completion. You see this in the picture here. So when you type, you get already a recommendation what kind of code you may want to add next. So that's not the classic code completion, which you know, where you just get more or less a hint about the next statement, so the ABAP statement, or which method you want to call. AI is really analyzing the context, more or less the complete class, and tries to figure out what you want to type next, okay? And that's really powerful. Of course, it's not so brilliant if you have an empty class, okay? But if there's already something in, a lot of methods are in, and so on, then that's really helpful. Additionally, you can use a comment or something like that explaining, I will never learn how to use regex, therefore please explain me how I can do a regex which checks if the date format is correct in that variable, and then underneath you will directly see the recommendation, the code, which shall be used, okay? Additionally, in ABAP it's common that you have to handle code which hasn't been written by somebody else. Okay, perhaps a consultant or whatsoever. And you have no idea what this code is doing. And that's why AI can be used to explain the code specification, what is the business semantic behind that code, what is the code actually doing, so that you know what you're doing, what this code is about. The same for CDS. CDS can be really complex. That's why it's so important that you have a guide explaining you what this CDS view is actually doing. And last but not least, unit test generation. Perhaps you notice that it's possible already without AI to generate this more or less a stub for unit test, the empty test class, let's say it like that, with some asserts in. With ABAP unit test generation, the productive code is analyzed, and then you get more or less a pre-filled test class which already provides some unit tests which contain already some logic, okay? It's not completely magic, so if you have untestable code, there's no magic that somehow AI now makes this testable and you have brilliant unit tests afterwards, okay? So be realistic, but it's much more than the stub which we had before, okay? Availability concerning the products, you see this underneath. Today you can use it in Steampunk, you can use it in S/4HANA Public Cloud, so ABAP Cloud Development on Stack, and with the upcoming release 2025, you can use it in the private cloud as well. The next use case, before that's really important. Whenever we develop new ABAP features, we first more or less mature and test those SAP internally. Okay, first, always the ABAP features are used by our SAP internal S4 developers. They give feedback and so on. And we did the same for the AI features, and the test results with our SAP internal colleagues was really nice. You see here the UX could have been, was evaluated, ease of use, how likely will you recommend it. So to be brutally honest, we don't always get these numbers like that, let's say it like that. Not all features are so much like, let's say it like that. So we really see something like 80% that they recommend the feature, so it really is beneficial for their day-by-day work. That should motivate you. If even the SAP internal S4 developers like it, you may like it as well, okay? Empower. That's exactly what has been demoed by Fabian. He has shown you our ABAP AI SDK powered by intelligent scenario lifecycle management. So names, that's really one of our major things at SAP, which we know how to do it. So it's a really long name for an SDK. But anyhow, that allows you to, and your ABAP developers to have a standardized way how to access SAP AI Core, so the SAP AI functionality. So that not everybody is doing it differently, and you have to ensure that it's somehow secure, compliant, and so on, and lifecycle works and all that. Use that way to access SAP AI functionality, and then you're on the safe side. We use the same SAP internally. So it's really the standard way how to access AI functionality. This SDK is available in 25.02 again for Steampunk and S/4HANA Public Cloud. We provide that, of course, with the 2025 release as well. And we plan backports back to 2021. You can see this in the respective node. And it's even available on premise, the SDK. Okay? Then transform, and that's now a lab preview, not available yet. Here, as explained, the first focus is really to assist during the ECC to S4 transformation concerning your custom code. That's the first target. And what we want to do there, you know, we have already a lot of stuff there. We are doing this for a decade, more or less. The Suite on HANA, the first iteration, then S4HANA and all that. So we have already the ABAP test cockpit, we have quick fixes and all that. And the first step, what we want to do is explaining all the findings and what you must know about custom code migration. So the first thing is, perhaps you know, if you go to S4 with your custom code, there are two main pillars which you have to do. First of all, be HANA compliant. So for example, adding an order by to a select and so on and so on. Second part are simplification items. So these are all the incompatible changes which you have if you compare S4HANA with ECC. Material number extensions, the data model is changed, and so on and so on. And these simplification items can be really complicated. There's one node referring to another node, referring to another node, attached a PDF and a PowerPoint and blah, 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 okay? Really complicated. And that's why now first step is AI is used to provide a summary, a readable format of a simplification item, allowing you to understand what you have to do, okay? In an easier way to understand it without link from node to node to node. That's the first one. Second, you can use a chat if you have questions about custom code management. So these are the first two things, so that it's easier for project managers and for developers to understand what shall be done. Additionally, of course, the explain functionality is really essential, because if you do a transformation, the best way to reduce the effort is to just let the old program in the ECC world and don't migrate it. So especially if you have never used this old set report, okay? And that's why we invest a lot in the explain functionality, helping you to understand, okay, this old report does the following stuff. Do I really need it in the new world? Okay, that's one of the major pillars. But the last one, and that's what we are working on at the moment, is of course the most important one, meaning helping you to correct the code. And what we intend to do is, if you have the results, you see the different ATC errors and so on, then what we want to provide is when you have here a more difficult, let's say, ATC finding, there is no quick fix available, then that at least Joule provides you a recommendation for your code. So what shall be changed? Analyzing the code which you have in your custom code, knowing which kind of simplification item is behind that, what shall be done, so what is the transformation which is behind, and then a code snippet shall be provided, which you can then use to correct your code, to make it more effective, to reduce the effort during your custom code migration, okay? Still, you are in the driver's seat, of course. It's not a magic button, do the migration for everything now or something like that, yeah? You're in the driver's seat, but this will reduce the effort. Good. And with that, it's your turn again.
Exactly. So let's also deep dive in those capabilities which are already available today. I would like to give you a short example of how you can make use of the BO generator within a steampunk system, for example. So hopefully I'm still logged on, so let's check. So we already have as I told you, the business object generator in place, and also there we have some AI assistance. So what you can do is you can generate a business object from the scratch and also now just make use of that wizard within those ABAP development tools. And what is now opening up is a wizard with a side-by-side dual chat window, which allows you also to interact with this wizard, right? And also to fine-tune your business object there. What you now can do is you can also define what you would like to have. So what you could do is you could let Joule know that Joule should please generate a business object for, I say, soccer maintenance, right? Soccer team maintenance. And a soccer team should consist out of a player and out of a trainer, and a player should have strengths. And what we are now getting proposed is exactly that entity player will be created, entity trainer and stuff like that. And we also see, okay, the entity player does also, maybe I make it a little bit bigger also for those guys sitting in the last row, that the entity player also has a field strength. And you think, well, actually, a player should have multiple strengths. So we need to adapt those proposals which are made by Joule, and we can still interact, of course, with Joule and also tell them, okay, could you please also fine-tune that thing that a player should have multiple different strengths. So we would like to model that as an own entity within that business object. And hopefully, so we'll see that hopefully in a second, we also get now 4 entities created, so also entity for strengths, right? And you can now simply accept those things. So you see that those changes are took over to the wizard. You can now also adapt in a fine-tuned mode, right? You could also add further fields there. You could also change the data type and stuff like that. But we will just keep it like it is. Click on next. Also see then those objects which are generated for having a one-time ready business application. I can also select the transport request and now generate those things. Please have a note to this small bar on the wider lower corner. So things are now generated as mentioned also in the wizard. What you also can do in parallel, of course, is you can make use of those Joule functionalities and also explain things like a CDS view. So we also have integrated Joule not only as a chat window, but you have also access to those capabilities within the context menu. So you can access a CDS view and also say, okay, could you please explain me the icon with CDS view? And you will then see in a second that you also get an explanation of the purpose of the CDS view. So what is the purpose of this particular CDS view? So it also knows the context of transactional interfaces, transactional queries, and stuff like that. And you will also get a kind of overview what business questions can be addressed with CDS views, recommendations, how to use it. And you could also deep dive then to dedicated fields and also get them explained. In parallel, our object was now generated. We can open that one up. Also the service binding, so it's the most upper thing which is then also exposed. I will publish also that service so we can access it in a second. And we will see that those functionalities that we now have then also a one-time ready business object in place end-to-end, right, with really less effort. So I did not code any line of ABAP yet. It's still ABAP. Once it is published, we will also have a look into how get we further with that. So when we see that the business object is available, we will also, of course, enhance those functionalities, for example, by adding further validations. And we will see that in a second. So opening up the soccer team, we are now also able to define all those fields. We can maintain the soccer team in the end. So there we have a full running business application in place, and we will also see that we can also create such a data record within here. So there is some configuration issue. This comes up this morning. So let's see, right? For example, we can also call it ABAPConf ABAPConf. We can create it, save it, and everything, we are fine. And what we can also now do in the backend is we can also switch, of course, to our business object in detail and also add some coding to that. And connection issues with the network. Let me check. We can also have a look into the behavior definition. Open that one up. Going to the soccer team, right, to our behavior definition of the soccer team. And we can also create now a kind of validation in here, right? Validation, validate foundation date. And of course, we would like also to execute that on save, always on the create. And what we now can also do is we can activate the behavior definition. We get a quick fix also proposed to generate the validation within here. So a method will be generated within the behavior pool, which is giving us the implementation hook for this validation. And what I'm now doing is I would like also to let the AI implement that. And we have activated also the predictive code completion within here. And what I can do here is, of course, I can recommend such things directly, but I could also give some further context by providing any comments and write something like ensure that the foundation date is in the past. And what we will see is that it now also recommends the coding which is required to access that. So we need to first, of course, read the foundation date, and then we also loop across all those things, and we can just also make use of those recommendations. And of course, also as it is not perfect, we still need maybe to adapt something. So we can also, of course, refer to the soccer team creation. Search for the soccer business object, can make use of the soccer team within here, and I do not need to have that thing in place. And of course, we also would make maybe use of our own message class. So I think I have something also in place. I think it's that one, and I can also just make that one in place. Invalid foundation date. There is already some message also. Foundation date in future. And what we also see is it recommends something which is no longer valid in ABAP Cloud. So it can also make use of the tool functionality to ask, okay, what's the successor in ABAP Cloud for C-datum? And what we will then also see that the relevant thing will be provided maybe for the ABAP. So sometimes we need to fine-tune, of course, also our prompt, because he now also proposed the CDS pendant for that, right? In ABAP coding. And hopefully he will also then shortly provide us the relevant class. No, he will not. So unfortunately, not today. Also, those things are getting better. So technically, we are still redirecting also to some third-party providers, LM providers in the background. But with the upcoming upgrades, we also will have own models with our own rec service integration in place, which even makes that much more better. Having that also activated, we also now see in the Fiori UI, if we now also create a new record, that of course also the validation should work. So if I create a new one, I can now also choose a foundation date in the future. And if I would like to save it now, I should also a message should come up which says foundation date is not in the past. And I have now really incorporated those functionality without even really knowing those details of email and those syntactical specifics of that. And having said that, we are finished also with our demo. I would like to switch back to the presentation shortly also to give you a kind of glimpse what is also available, what are the takeaways. So, of course, we talked about ABAP Cloud. We talked about generative AI. So make sure also to check out those additional information which we have available there. I think those slides will also be shared afterwards. And also what I would like to refer to are those certifications which are in place. So especially when talking about extensibility and how to do on-stack extensions, feel free to check out also those learning journeys. and to really also get upskilled in this new development model. And with that, I'll also would like to close. So thank you very much also for your attendance. And I think we are pretty on time, so we need to make some room for the next speaker. But if there are any questions left, of course, we can also meet outside. And thank you very much.